son Parker has been bugging me for going on 4 years to make a Balisong knife, and I've finally decided to take on the challenge. What are we going to make the blade out of? So I think I'm just going to make this out of some AEBL just to start with. So for the handles, we're going to be using this. This is titanium. This is grade 5, so 6AL V4 titanium. I got the blade here, and that's what we're going to do first. Cut this out, and then use the optical center punch and drill our pivot holes. Then we're going to start to work on the handles. I do need to heat treat this pretty soon because we're going to need to know final thickness here in order to know the size of the slots. So let's get to this. Now we're going to use the optical center punch. This has got a little magnifier in it, which you position, and then you press this down, pull that out, and put the punch in to exactly get where these need to be punched. So let's do it. So there's our 1/4 inch pivot holes. They just slide in, and they're just held there with friction, which is perfect. Nice. All right, now I'm actually going to harden this blade because everything else we need to do is with it at its final thickness. So let's go get it hardened. Well, the blade is in the oven getting heat treated. Let's talk about the handles. So here's the handle that the one I'm copying off of. We're going to take some measurements, and we need to reduce this titanium down to kind of a rectangular form to match these. These do taper slightly, but I'm going to do the taper after. The first thing is just to machine this down to a rectangle. Machining titanium is a little different, and this will be my first time doing it, so I'm expecting some issues. Let's go try it. So here I'm taking an 1/8 of an inch off each side of this cylinder to make a 1/2 inch bar. Here's a good shot of it climb milling, meaning that the clockwise rotation is going towards the cutting. It's also important to note that you mill titanium at about twice the RPMs you cut steel. So I've got the 2 handles milled out, at least 3 sides, because there's going to be a taper that I still need to mill in. But in case you're curious, this is all the titanium that came off. It's quite a bit. There's a whole bunch back there still. Okay, so now that these are all milled, I want to do the pivot and the stop pin holes. Now I have nice reference surfaces, which is why I didn't do the taper yet, because I want to have this square so I can put it in the mill. And I took some sizes so I know where this hole is going to be in relation to these 2 sides and where this hole is going to be. So I can do everything on the mill. Now I've used my DRO to spot this hole. I'm drilling it with a 1/16 inch drill bit, then I'll move up to a number 17, and finally I'll ream it with a 3/16 reamer. So there are our parts so far. I've got the knife heat treated and tempered. We have our pivot holes drilled, and we've got our handles with the pivot holes drilled and the stop pins. So now we're going to concentrate on fitting the pivot and then the stop pin for the open position. So looking at these bushings, these are 127 thousandths, so just over an eighth of an inch. And this is about 135 thousandths. So I'm going to go to the surface grinder and grind this down so that after I sand it, it'll be exactly 125 thousandths. So these bushings will just be a tiny bit proud, which is what we want, because then no matter how hard we screw these in, it will press on the bushings and it won't clamp the pivots down to the blade. Okay, so it's time to do the slots that are going to go here, which the blade is actually going to sit inside and be pinned with the pivot. You can see that the bushing plus a washer on either side is 166 thou, 166 and a half. So I'm going to have to use an 1/8 inch end mill and mill this slot. Because those are kind of short, I've decided I'm going to do the taper on this before that. Alright, so they're all tapered and starting to look like the right shape. I think I'm going to put some holes through here, and that's going to give me just some relief and some visuals along the handle. I'm going to do that first so I just have less to mill.
I started here with a 16th inch drill bit, just pecking it a little bit to make sure it went in straight. Then moved up to an 1/8 inch, and then finally finished off these holes with a 1/4 inch. Now it's time to mill the slot. I was really worried about this because it's just an 1/8 inch end mill, but it went no problem. For most of the handle, there's about a 1/16 of an inch of the material left at the bottom, but right here at the front, where the pivot and the stop pin is, has to be milled all the way through.
Okay, so that was a lot of milling. I ended up doing all the holes on this one and got through slotting this one. I'll slot this one after, but what I wanted to do is give this one a try with the pivots. So got it in there. It's moving very nice. It does clash with either side. It's a little loose in here, which concerns me. So I think I'm going to have to just keep playing with the size of the bushing. Alright, it looks like I got it. Looks like 1/1000th of an inch is the magic number. There's not enough play for it to hit the sides here, and it slides open really nice. And I could probably crank down on this just a little bit just to tighten it up. But yeah, I'm happy with it. I went and did the channel on this handle. I did test it on here to make sure that it fits just like this one, but I can't put them both on at the same time just because there's not enough relief here. These corners need to get ground off. So here it is all together. I haven't adjusted where the stop pins end so it doesn't close all the way in either direction, which is fine. We're going to do that step later. But I do find that I think the handles are a little heavy. I'm very pleased with these. I love the way they look. They're nice and light. In fact, let's actually weigh them here. So yeah, it's an 1.5 ounces per handle, and that'll go down once I do the chamfering on the edges here. So might be like 1.25 ounces per handle, which is extremely light. So next, I'm just going to just countersink this hole for the stop pin and countersink the pivot a little bit. I've also decided I'm going to do just some of the jimping here. I'm going to do that on both sides of mine as well. Well, here it is all together. I really love the jimping in the back. I've recessed all those holes. I've counterbored the stop pins. But now it's time to actually do the set the stop pin. Okay, so I've got it pretty perfect in the open position. In the closed position, I'm a little off still. I did go to the mill, as you saw, and put those little scallops out of it. But from now, I'm going to actually switch to a diamond file. Alright, after a lot of playing around, it looks really good. The open and closed positions are pretty good. Pretty much exactly where I want them. Now it's time to shape the handles. First thing I'm going to do is just put a little bevel on the back edge. Kind of look like this one, so I'm going to put this little bevel in here. And I'm also going to bevel this front curved edge. So we'll do that first, and then we're just going to round these over just to make them a little more comfortable. Then I'm going to soften all the edges all over just so there's nothing sharp. So I got the handles all finished, ground and sanded. I love the way they look. These will be sandblasted, and I'm going to turn them black or very, very dark gray. So stay tuned for that. But now we're going to move our focus over to the blade. First thing we're going to do is put the false edge here, and then we're going to grind the bevel. So there's the blade all ground, and I've also hand sanded it up to 220. I'm not going to go higher than that because I'm going to sandblast this and stonewash it. I'm also going to be sandblasting these guys. We're off to the sandblaster. Alright, Alright, we got this blade ready to etch before the stone wash, and for this we're going to be using the Gator Piss Heavy. So in it goes. And this is stainless steel, so it's going to take a while, probably 15-20 minutes. Alright, so we got it etched in here, cap it, and we're going to put it in the lathe and give it a spin. Okay, I got the blade all finished. Now it's time to do the handles. For this, I'm going to be blackening them. I've got some distilled water with some manganese sulfate in it, my DC power supply, and we're going to set this up at 49.5 volts, and that will blacken the titanium.